Now I call upon Professor Dr.D.sambandhan, Professor and Head, Department of Politics and International Studies, School of Social Sciences and International Studies.
Esteemed dignitaries on the stage and off the stage, I very much wish that now time is 11:30 or 11:40, so that one can go on for 1.5 hours and have a tremendous intellectual feast on a topic which is very difficult to understand and elaborate. Since I have requested personally Sambat Kumar, the man from business line, and his opportunity cost of time is very high, and all of us are racing with the time, and there is a tremendous revolt in our own stomach because it has got its own duty to perform at the right time. It is time that I got into some pertinent, relevant, significant point related to our topic and go into a full-fledged discussion at a later stage. That is what the panel discussion is supposed to do. Dollar is your currency, dollar is our currency, but your problem. This is what John Connolly, the Treasury Secretary, told Europeans at the height of international monetary crisis in 1971, before Nixon took the decision of suspending the dollar notes into gold. This area, global slowdown, can be understood only when you go into post-war history and try to understand the plus and minus of the dollar as a key currency and some sensible and responsible role that the US played in conducting its monetary policy until 1965, and the way in which US did lot of somersaults after Vietnam War, what it is now doing after Iraq War. Therefore, there is a clear correlation between Vietnam War in 67, financing it by taxes and not financing it by printed money, not by taxes, and the system collapsing in 1971. Same thing I am forecasting now, that after Iraq War episode, it is not just a coincidence, it is all programmed by the Almighty, sleeping in heavens, that US is in a very, very deep financial meltdown, far worse than what Asia suffered in 97, far, far worse than the entire world suffered in 1929. Indeed, when the first crisis cropped up, I was the first man in the country to send to business line, collapse of dollar cannot be halted. Immediately, the team sent the paper to Bombay for review, and I was personally told by an email, which normally they don't do, sir, we are reviewing the paper, it is very, very tough. And in few days, that article was published, and I changed the title, Why is the dollar in doldrums? Now, with due respect for international monetary system, America, sneezing, cold, flu, and everything, I am just making a very assertive statement from intuitive common sense, that is economics. Dollar collapse cannot be halted. US downtrend cannot be prevented. Perhaps we may buy time. See, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years is a very small time in economics. And with this particular background, let me just go into some episodes, and I would like to talk only about one thing: US weakness, US vulnerability, dollar vulnerability, and hence the world economy is vulnerable. For everything, US is to be squarely blamed. And let me put it in some 3-4 episodes in a very brief way, because there is no time and there is no mood also to go into a very lengthy discussion when we are now 120 or 125. This is not the time. This is a time for more discussion. And we would like to ask the audience to go into more debate. First point. See, dollar, whether we like it or not, is world money. And it has performed the task very well until 1970s. 80s, 90s, 2000, please note, dollar has gone in a roller coaster, and foolishly, feverishly, US Federal Reserve System has pursued a supposed to be a misplaced strong dollar policy because they wanted more money for their own survival. Second point, why they wanted foreign money? Why they wanted strong dollar policy? All of you know very well, US has been suffering from twin deficit: trade deficit, current account deficit, and budget deficit. If your memory power is right, in 1990-91, I was going through Age of Turbulence by Alan Greenspan once again in the night yesterday, that in 1990, current account as a percentage of GDP was close to 0. It is not at all a problem. In my PhD thesis, please note, which was submitted during that particular time, I was crowing more about current account deficit. A person like me, coming from fishing village, having a very limited background in economics, was able to blast USA at a time, even current account has not become a problem. And we are, not only me, throughout the profession, they were all blaming the United States for its unsustainability, which our Sambat Kumar was drawing attention to. See, how can a country be going on running into unsustainable current account deficit and budget deficit perpetually for long without making any corrective efforts, without making any proper adjustment via exchange rate, via absorption and via macroeconomic type of things? And US has been doing it. And they wanted dollar and they want to make dollar strong. And as long as dollar was strong and US was a safe haven, and US financial system is very strong, safe and secure, absolutely there was no difficulty to have any crisis of confidence on dollar, and money was just flowing in. And because of that money, foreign money flowing from China, Japan, India, Singapore, Taiwan, and many countries which simply accumulated dollar balances to prevent their currency from strengthening or appreciating the forex market, US has survived. This was an old story. This was going on for quite some time. But if you look at the data from 2000 to 2008, you can notice that 2000 to 2004 dollar was falling, 2005 dollar was slightly rising, 2006, 2008 dollar is falling, and after 2008 the dollar has to fall. That's why I made an assertive statement, dollar collapse cannot be halted. Dollar collapse is not halted for the simple reason that other countries are there to provide parachute for the dollar. So given the current account imbalances, trade imbalances and dollar's vulnerability, it is a question of time that US economy has to make adjustment. At this right time cropped up subprime lending crisis. Who was the author of that? Who was the founder of that? Knowingly, unknowingly, inadvertently, unintentionally? Alan Greenspan, the man who adored the chair for 17 long years in the United States as Fed chief. What did the gentleman do? He did something good. Can something good become bad? Yes, it could become bad if the American system, symbolized by the experts, corporates, okay, they become criminals, they enter into a lot of scandalous type of thing. If they overstretch the so-called financial innovation in the name of financial greed, things can go worse. That is what is taking place in America. Let me tell one more statement. From the rise of inflation in the 70s and the near death of inflation in the 90s, indeed inflation was very much controlled during Alan Greenspan's period. I can give tremendous credit to Alan Greenspan for having controlled the rate of inflation, and through Fisher effect, the rate of interest was also reduced almost 1%, as it was the case in Japan during that particular period, which was struggling with the zero interest rate dilemma. So this 1% rate of interest, and you know, after 90s Viagra economic growth, US was still struggling because things are not going very well after 2000. At that time, housing boom came. Paul Krugman drew attention to the fact that consumption is 70% of your GDP, so the investment level was not very high, saving almost zero in the US. Today, household saving is negative, personal saving is almost close to zero. Therefore, how can a country, largest democracy, preaching about IMF policy of adjustment, can just live with a zero saving, negative household saving, corporate fraud, accounting scandals, series of crises? What did they talk about this so-called financial austerity to Asian countries in 1997? What did Clinton say when Asia was burning? We have not learned lesson from 1929 depression, 1931 bank crisis, 1997 Asian financial crisis. We just allowed the housing boom to continue. And all the fellows, whether they had money, job, this, that, they just borrowed. As long as interest rate was very low, as long as financial system was able to cope up, there was no problem. But slowly, gradually, when inflation started rising, and interest rate also started building up and climbing up the ladder towards north, then problems started cropping up. Those institutions which lent money, they were able to save themselves by spreading the risk, by collateralizing the security, and these mortgage-based securities are sold in the open world market, financial market. Since finance has gone global, anybody, any institution, any part of the world can purchase this bundle without knowing the mixer contained in it. There was no problem. And the subprime lending crisis surfaced during August 2007. And now I am learning from International Herald Tribune that in future, please note in future, future means next week, I think that is what is taking place now, next month or up to some time. It is not a subprime lending crisis, it is prime lending crisis. It is not an ordinary institution faltering, collapsing and dying. 150-year-old Lehman Brothers, which symbolize the financial strength, like the Twin Towers symbolized earlier the hegemony of the US, collapsing, virtually dying. And as Balakrishnan wrote in a Business Line column some time ago, I think 1 week or 10 days back, Mr. Keynes is back in the United States. Indeed, Nixon told long ago, we are all Keynesians now. I never felt at that time that US will become Keynesian, the whole country will become Keynesian, there will be state intervention, there will be nationalization, and the dollar has to be supported by the rest of the world. So I think nobody expected that America would overstretch its financial irresponsibility and lack of monitoring mechanism in the system to this extent. So we are in a deep-seated crisis, real financial and banking crisis, which even God wants to save, cannot save, because it has reached a particular stage where so many financial institutions, now Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, they are standing in the queue. They are standing in the queue for liquidation or protection or accommodation or benevolent intervention by the federal government. This is the problem facing United States now. Then how the rest of the world could keep quiet? See, when current account is in serious imbalance, that means global economy is in serious imbalance in a floating exchange rate regime, because countries want to operate under Bretton system too. What is this Bretton system 2? Under Bretton system 2, which is talked about in the literature, many Asian countries, they want to hold on to fixed exchange rate. And please note, China, with all its tom-tomming of flexibility in exchange rate, is still holding on to exchange rate. But foolish India has alternated between 39 rupees to $1 and 47 rupees to $1. I don't know, we are very happy with the flexibility, but compared to China, which has been really playing with the exchange rate, making exchange rate as international politics, exchange rate is not now international economics. Even US problem is not going to be international economics, it is going to be international politics. Because ordinary fellow, Saudi fellow, computer trained fellow, just demolished the Twin Towers, okay, that was really an act of terrorism. Now there is financial terrorism. Financial terrorism is imposed by United States of America. See, for no fault of ours, my country is suffering now. And RBI is just simply keeping quiet. Hey, people are talking. Indeed, I and Professor Ramachandran, we wrote in EPW, resisting rupee appreciation. Again in Business Line, we wrote, making sense of rupee appreciation. We were the people who are taking a stand that rupee should not be allowed to appreciate beyond a limit. Now, without our asking for it, rupee is depreciating. Normally, I have told so many fellows in the campus that whenever rupee depreciates, IT companies will gain. Now they are asking me, why IT companies are not gaining, IT stocks are not rising in the stock market, when rupee has gone to 46 or 47. We have to tell them, please note, we are dependent upon America. America is weak, vulnerable, like an aged lady, sulking and suffering. And therefore, we have to also suffer. I think I have exactly taken 10 minutes or 11 minutes, and I don't want to take much time. Maybe I am ending abruptly. I will be coming forward for discussion because I want to give time to my friend Sambat Kumar here. But I would like to conclude with one thing. What our Madhokaran started in the beginning. That I came to know from Balasubramanian, law officer in this university. Therefore, from memory, let me tell. Recession is one when your neighbor is suffering or maybe dying or whatever it is, or when your neighbor is losing the job. Of course, losing job is only dying. Depression is one when I lose my job. You are not completed that statement from Ronald Reagan, who was addressing election rally when Carter was in trouble. Okay, recovery is when Jimmy Carter goes out. That means Ronald Reagan must win. Again, it's a strange coincidence now. We are talking about recovery. Please note, I don't know, Barack Obama, I don't know what type of sin he would have committed in his previous birth, I don't know. For the first time, if Afro-American is not elected in America, I don't know what type of adjective I can use to talk about the so-called literate American illiterates. See, we don't want about Bush. What was the Bush language? Either you are with us or with them. If you are with them, we will finish. If you are with us, we will take you. Now the point is, how many people are going to be with the dollar? How many fellows are going to be with America? Okay, see, the US financial system, which is supposed to be very strong, is now in shambles. I can tell with pride and humility that Indian economy is far